The Byzantine-Sassanid Wars were not just prolonged conflicts between two empires. They were a centuries-spanning contest for dominance over the cradle of civilization, the Middle East. From the late 3rd to early 7th centuries CE, these wars shaped not only the political boundaries of antiquity, but also the fate of two great imperial legacies, Rome in the East and Persia. This video dives deep into the most pivotal and final phase of this conflict, particularly the war from 602 to 628 CE, a cataclysmic confrontation that left both empires mortally wounded, just before the rise of Islam reshaped the entire region. The Byzantine Empire, successor to the Eastern Roman Empire, and the Sassanid Persian Empire had coexisted in a tense rivalry since the 3rd century. Their antagonism was marked by intermittent warfare, punctuated by fragile treaties. Geopolitically, the Fertile Crescent, especially Mesopotamia and Syria, formed the strategic hinge. These were the economic arteries and cultural crossroads both empires coveted, not merely for their wealth, but for the imperial legitimacy and religious prestige that controlling these lands conferred. The longest and most devastating phase of the wars was ignited by a coup in Constantinople. In 602, the Byzantine Emperor Maurice was overthrown and executed by the usurper Phocas. Khosrow II of Persia, who had previously been aided by Maurice in reclaiming his throne, declared war under the pretext of avenging his benefactor. But this was more than a gesture of loyalty. It was a calculated move to exploit Byzantine instability and expand Persian influence westward. Between 603 and the early 620s, the Sassanids, under generals like Shahrbaraz and Shahin, launched a series of brilliant campaigns. They seized major cities: Damascus, Jerusalem, Alexandria even, reaching the gates of Chalcedon across from Constantinople. For a moment, it appeared the Sassanid Empire had achieved what the Achaemenids and Parthians never could: a total reversal of Greco-Roman supremacy in the East. Zoroastrian fire altars were installed in Christian basilicas, including the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The True Cross was taken to Ctesiphon as a war trophy. This wasn't just war, it was ideological conquest. Yet from this nadir emerged one of Byzantium's most remarkable leaders, Emperor Heraclius. Crowned in 610, Heraclius inherited a fragmented, demoralized state. Rather than capitulate, he embarked on a massive military and fiscal reorganization. By the mid-620s, he launched a daring counteroffensive, not southward toward the Persian gains, but deep into the heart of Persia itself. In a campaign echoing Alexander the Great, Heraclius moved through Armenia and into the Zagros Mountains, forcing Khosrow to defend his own capital. The turning point came in 627 at the Battle of Nineveh. Heraclius, leading a smaller but highly mobile force, defeated a Persian army under Razad. Unlike typical set-piece battles, Nineveh was characterized by rapid maneuvers, feints, and a brutal winter campaign. Heraclius then marched toward Ctesiphon, prompting a palace coup. Khosrow II was overthrown and executed by his own son, Kavad II, who immediately sued for peace. The Byzantines recovered their lost territories, including the True Cross. But this victory was Pyrrhic. Both empires, though nominally victorious or intact, were exhausted. Decades of warfare had devastated their economies, hollowed their militaries, and undermined internal cohesion. The Sassanid central authority collapsed into chaos, leading to a series of short-lived rulers. In Byzantium, Heraclius returned a hero, but his treasury was empty, and the eastern provinces were ravaged. Neither empire had the strength to recover fully before a new force emerged from the Arabian Peninsula. Only a few years after the Peace of 628, Arab Muslim armies under the banner of Islam surged out of Arabia. The vacuum left by the Byzantine-Sassanid exhaustion enabled rapid conquests. Syria and Palestine fell to the Rashidun Caliphate within a decade. By 651, the Sassanid Empire was completely extinguished. The Byzantine Empire, though it would endure, lost Egypt, the Levant, and eventually North Africa. The wars had broken the old world, and Islam built a new one atop its ruins. The Byzantine-Sassanid Wars were not just military events, but civilizational crossroads. They marked the final act of the classical era in the Near East. Zoroastrianism, once the dominant faith of Persia, went into decline. Christianity, triumphant under Heraclius, found itself replaced in its eastern heartlands by Islam. The Persian and Roman traditions, however, lived on, transmitted through Islamic scholarship and later through the medieval West. Ironically, their greatest impact may have been in how thoroughly they prepared the ground for their successors. The final Byzantine-Sassanid War was more than a dynastic squabble. It was a world-ending conflagration. Two imperial giants fought themselves to ruin, leaving their legacies scattered in the sands of the Middle East. It was a clash not only of armies, but of ideologies, religions, and visions of empire. And in their twilight, they cleared the way for a new era, one that would define the region for the next 1,400 years.